What's up, Kings fans? We're finally back in the film room, and I mean, where to even begin? So much has changed in the last couple of months and since my last video, and even if you just date back to the last week, just wild times in Sacramento altogether, so much uncertainty, and who knows where this franchise is going, what the decisions are going to look like, what direction they're going to choose, and so on, but I'm here to talk about none of that. It was a really up and down season for a lot of Kings players, and that applies to Keegan Murray. I thought we again saw some development and strides out of Keegan, and he continues to hone certain areas of his game, but at the same time he may not be progressing quite the way fans expected or at least anticipated. So today I'm going to do my best to cover and analyze how I assess this performance this season in just about every aspect. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into the film. Last season, we saw massive growth from Keegan as a point of attack defender, and I thought he made huge strides with his team defense this season. Though he's still probably more effective defending on the ball, he's more aware of his help responsibilities and learning how to use his size to be a deterrent around the basket. You'll see him cover several different roles on these possessions, starting off defending the ball, helping over to cut off drives, then stepping up as the low man as the last line of defense. This possession specifically I thought really encapsulates the Kings defense in 2025. Keegan is on Giannis fighting through a flat ball screen, he's receiving out near half court, and when that turns into a switch, you see Keegan immediately transition into baseline help to keep Giannis from attacking the baseline. Giannis kicks it out off the double, and the Bucks reverse it, just looking for the open man, so Keegan recovers back to the opposite corner, only for Levine to completely lose track of his assignment. He's really in no man's land here, leaving Brook Lopez wide open and bailing the Bucks out at the end of the shot clock. At 6'8" with a 6'11" wingspan, Keegan has always had the size and physical tools to be an effective rim protector, and he's putting it all together. He's better at timing his help from the weak side, and using his length to really affect and alter drives to the basket. Here he's guarding a shooter, so he's kind of hugged out on the perimeter, but when the roller gets free here on a slip, Keegan is immediately beating him to the basket, staying grounded and forcing a wild attempt to save a basket. Watch here how he times Giannis' spin back middle, jumps with him, and that length really stifles Giannis at the rim. On shots defended within 6 feet, Keegan held opponents to a 53.7% from the field, which is 9% lower than their actual average field goal percentage in that range. I don't always trust the NBA's tracking stats, but when they align with the eye test, that's usually a good sign. Some of Keegan's most impressive possessions really show off his defensive versatility, where he's guarding Shea at the point of attack, switching onto the roller off the double drag ball screens, and the same guy defending the best guard in the sport also has the rim protecting chops to meet big men at the rim. I mean, some of these plays are just nuts. Again, switching onto the roller here with Boucher trying to seal him off, and tries to dunk through Keegan, but Keegan is just having none of that. And how about here where he's chasing Naz Reid off this pin down twirl action? On the rescreen, this kind of naturally turns into a switch, shifting Keegan to baseline help responsibilities to defend an ant drive. Keegan does a great job showing here, and Edwards makes an incredible pass to a cutter behind Keegan, with Luka Garza shielding off DeRozan. But look how quickly Keegan is able to turn his head, track the ball, and meet Gobert at the rim. Truly incredible instincts. Another weapon for Keegan when he has low man duties is his willingness to take charges against reckless drivers. Keegan finished tied for 8th in the NBA in charges, and you really have to love this ability to sacrifice his body for the team. With all that being said, he's not perfect as a rim protector and still has plenty of room to grow. There are still several possessions where he'll mistime his jumps, or just be slightly off in positioning to leave windows open to still finish around the rim. A big area of Keegan's game that we'll continue to talk about is his added strength, which, on top of his size and length, has given him the ability to scale up defensively and defend bigs. He's more adept at defending these lighter fives like Chet and Wemby, but there's also instances where he does a great job battling against some of the heavier bruisers in the post. But Keegan is still mostly a perimeter defender, and he makes his money at the point of attack. It's insane to see where he is now as opposed to when he was a rookie. It's truly night and day. I never anticipated Keegan being this profound defending guards, but he truly has incredible lateral mobility and hip flexibility on top of some of his physical tools. Watch him just hound Jalen Green with his tools, and he has no problem flipping his hips to mirror the offensive player. He's usually going to be guarding the other team's best players, and his assignments range anywhere from Steph Curry to Giannis. Truly able to guard 1 through 4 and even some 5s, the kind of defensive versatility teams dream about in players. And I love some of his discipline too. Here when Tyrese Maxey is sizing him up with these crosses, Keegan isn't biting at all. He waits for Maxey to make a move, cuts off the first drive, funnels him away from the basket on the spin, and that length just makes it so difficult for players to finish when he's staying attached like this. You'll see a lot of times when drivers are looking to put their body into Keegan, that improved strength allows Keegan to stay upright pretty much undeterred and hold his space without fouling. Here you have Harden trying to go into the body of Keegan, but Keegan keeps his hands high and takes all that contact with his chest, maintains his ground, and Harden throws up a wild shot at the end of his drive. Another big area of growth for Keegan since his rookie year has been his screen navigation. More than ever, he's really comfortable at fighting over and getting skinny through screens. You can see him chasing KD through this pin down. Even with Bradley Beal moving and trying to box out Keegan, he still does an excellent job at staying attached and not giving Durant any open space off the pick. This is one of the biggest areas where you'll notice his agility and how he's able to maneuver around these screens, which is pretty rare for a guy his size. The process is always consistent, keeping that one arm attached to the ball handler with the other kept on the screener, and he's exceptional at preventing advantages from being generated. Even when ball handlers can create some sort of space off these screens, again that size and length comes back into play with some of these rear view contests that really bother players. Keegan rarely gives up on play, so he's become quite a chase down threat from behind, so as long as he manages to stay in the picture, chances are he's going to be disruptive and bother the offensive player. That wingspan is really a tool for his one-on-one defense as well, as players think they have a lane to the basket and have a window to get a shot off, but Keegan is able to cover a lot more space than you would think. Here Jaylen Brown, who we know is quite the strong driver, is looking to go into the body of Keegan and throw him off balance to create an angle to finish. But this angle that Brown creates doesn't account for the vertical space that Keegan occupies, and with Keegan's strength, he doesn't let these bruising drives disrupt his balance. You'll always see Keegan put that off arm high, not only to alter shots at the basket, but also to discourage passes and limit the ball handler's vision in general. The 2025 Kings probably had some of the worst closeouts and contests I've ever seen a team consistently have, but Keegan was easily one of the lone bright spots here. I thought his high five contests were probably the best on the team, and again it's his length that makes up so much of a difference. All of these qualities defensively also made him an ideal candidate to serve as that off-ball chaser, where the Kings were comfortable sticking him on lead guards and having him chase them off screens and through various actions, especially off the ball. This is one of my favorite plays of the year, where Keegan is just chasing Steph through an entire possession in several different actions, which is one of, if not the hardest thing to do in the NBA. But he does it here for the entire 24 seconds, and this is the kind of effort the Kings consistently got out of Keegan. One of the most glaring improvements Keegan made this season was his rebounding and willingness to crash the glass, which also ties into the strides that he made with his physicality. He went from pulling down 5.5 boards per game in his 23-24 campaign to 6.7 this season, with 2.3 of those being classified as contested rebounds per NBA's tracking stats. He's consistently crashing the glass on both ends, penalizing his man for either lazy box outs or no box outs at all. And with his size and athleticism, it's really made him a weapon in cleaning up the glass and creating extra possessions offensively. Offensively, the season was much more of a mixed bag for Keegan. His shooting numbers have regressed every season since his rookie year, down to just 34% from 3 this season on the fewest number of attempts as well. A big part of this downward trend is the increased defensive workload that Keegan faces on a nightly basis, which more than anything has affected his movement shooting. With so much energy exerted on the defensive end, it's tough for him to be able to run off screens and handoffs in the half court as much as he did his rookie season. I think the NBA's tracking numbers do a great job at telling the story. On what the NBA classifies as wide open threes, Keegan shot just above 42% from 3 this past season. On anything slightly open or contested, that number drops to 22%, a ridiculous 20% discrepancy. Basically, if he sits still and wide open, he's still a great shooter. If he has to exert himself to get open or run off a DHO, it's really tough for him to do that in addition to how much he's forced to contribute elsewhere. Whenever Keegan's shooting motion is slightly rushed, you can tell he isn't quite as comfortable on the release. Of course that's normal for a shooter, it's just more evident now as defenders are more persistent in running him off the line. Much of Keegan's offensive role has been reduced to a sort of bystander. The Kings slowly went away from playing off Sabonis in the high post as the season went on, which limited the chances for Keegan to get touches. The ball was given to Sacramento's creators and scorers, which put Keegan in the corner or on the wing just looking for spot-up opportunities. There are no play calls for Keegan for the most part. He gets his own offense out of flow, whether it be when the Kings do go to the split action or zoom action off Sabonis, or just getting spot up opportunities and attacking closeouts when teams run him off the line. Keegan's still mainly a straight line driver when he's attacking out of these spots. He takes huge strides, sort of gallops to the hoop, and can get to the basket in just a couple of steps, and he's just going to the basket much stronger. I really think he can be elite at attacking closeouts, and I mean he's really solid as it is. He has a deceptively quick first step, and is also just decisive, which is huge for the Kings offense. He's getting the ball and attacking right off the catch, and when he's attacking, he's looking to score, nothing else. Keegan's go-to move as a driver has become this lowering of the shoulder bump to power through defenders, again tying into that much improved strength over the years. You'll see this a lot of times in transition, using that momentum against defenders and just setting them flying while Keegan goes right through them. It's kind of flown under the radar, but Keegan's finishing numbers are ridiculous, at least in terms of efficiency. On shots within 3 feet, he's at 83% per Basketball Reference, and he's been steadily more efficient every season since his rookie year. With all that being said, Keegan still has plenty of areas he needs to improve upon, whether it be as a driver, a decision maker, or just a creator in general. It feels like he premeditates what he's going to do sometimes. Here when he's shooting around off that DHO with his defender trailing him, I'd like to see him look to get downhill and create a 2-on-1 against that drop defender. Instead he's settling for a one dribble pull up off the screen and really bailing that defender out that's riding his hip. Same thing here coming off a pin down. He's got his defender behind him and this would be an ideal situation to get downhill, but he's not even thinking about that, really just looking to get a shot off here. A big part of his struggles, in my opinion, is that he doesn't really read help defenders properly. When he gets by his man off a drive and looking to get to the basket, he isn't quick to detect that low man coming over. As a result, he gets a lot of drives stuffed, misses reads, and usually not locating that weak side skip pass that could create an open shot with the defense in rotation. I love this attack here off the catch. Brook Lopez is going to stand no chance against a stampede drive like this from Keegan, but after a couple dribbles, Keegan has to recognize that help is going to come and be able to drop this off to Valanciunas. This time he does read that help getting downhill. He sees Alex Sarr step up and is trying to fit this one in as a bonus, but he doesn't see that weak side defender sink in this time, which leaves Monk uncovered on a potential kickout. So he really struggles at adapting his drives on the fly when help comes, and really doesn't make any advanced reads as it stands. Perhaps the most glaring area of improvement still needed in Keegan's game is just the overall fluidity. For instance, in his pull-up game, the general process is there and there's a lot to like, but he just needs to kind of blend everything together. In situations like these, I like to pull up as a weapon, being able to stop on a dime and let the defender's momentum carry him forward and create space, but the time it takes him to plant, snatch back, and get set gives defenders a chance to get back into play and get contest. His handle is still shaky at best, and he still needs to kind of smooth out his game in these aspects because there really is a lot to like. Keegan doesn't have much in terms of off-the-dribble counters when defenders cut him off. I also think he could functionally use his size and strength more. These possessions against Jalen Green, I think it's clear Keegan can really overpower him and also just the size to shoot over him if he wants to. So I don't love spinning off of him away from the basket. He should be able to go towards the rim with the tools that he has. The ideal version of Keegan just sort of simplifies his game offensively if he's going to be this complementary piece. Don't force the movement stuff, take your open threes, attack closeouts when they run you off the line, and if you have space, take that 1 or 2 dribble pull-up in between. With some of the self-creation struggles that Keegan continues to have, it's tough to ever see him becoming a star, at least in the traditional sense. The bottom line is, as of right now, he's much more built to play off of advantages created for him than he can create advantages for himself. But he can really maximize his efficiency by just smoothing out his game and picking and choosing his spots more deliberately. Overall, I was very pleased with Keegan's 2025 campaign, and the truth is we've seen him expand and add to his game each season that he's been in the league. This year it was about becoming a more well-rounded defender and rebounder, and what he provides is truly invaluable to the Kings. If he ever manages to consistently find his shot again, he's easily one of the elite two-way players in the sport. I'm very excited to watch Keegan grow going forward. Hopefully he gets extended here soon and is in Sacramento for a long time. As always, thank you all for watching and supporting the channel, and I'll see you all next time.